We have 5 additional trailer bills to review and take action on this morning. We still have 2 trailer bills that we heard on Monday and will be up for vote only once we establish our quorum. I hope you'll all be patient with us as we are on multiple policy committees, as we are also doing our work in the last stages of budget preparation before we have presentation of it on the floor today and trailer bills today and tomorrow. So members will be coming in and out. If members are within earshot and you are able to get to the budget hearing room 4203 so we can at least establish our quorum, that would be helpful, as you could then return back to your policy committees. And of course, we will be holding the roll open for everyone to have an opportunity to cast votes before we adjourn today. The first of our 5 new trailer bills to be heard is AB 1602, which is our higher education bill. Ms. Costa, welcome back to our committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Good morning. Amy Costa with the Department of Finance. As I said when we last met, what I'll do, given that many of these trailer bills have been discussed through the subcommittee process or even within the conference committee, and many of them have been in print on the department's website since January, in each of the trailer bills, I'll just highlight a few items, and of course, I'm happy to answer any questions.
And in particular, as is the nature with trailer bills, I think we're all aware of it, sometimes things are discussed and included later in the process, and sometimes even post-process. So if you could highlight everything just so that we can make sure there's nothing that doesn't get a public airing.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Happy to do so. As you stated, the first bill before the committee this morning is AB 1602, which is our higher education trailer bill. A couple of key components of this bill. The bill reflects savings from the Middle Class Scholarship Savings Program, which was an important part of the budget framework that allowed funds to be reallocated for other purposes. In this particular year, the purposes were other higher education programs and purposes. The bill reduces the appropriations for the program by $42 million annually, and specifically the appropriation in 2016-17 is reduced from $116 million to $74 million, and then the appropriation in the 2017-18 and each fiscal year thereafter are reduced from $159 million to $117 million. Additionally, this trailer bill makes investments that maintain college affordability, support success for all students, and strengthen the pathways through the education system and ultimately into the workforce. Several of the proposals I'd like to highlight for you. One was an administration proposal which would create 0 textbook cost degrees. The bill creates this program by providing $200,000 per degree developed by colleges with the goal of reducing the cost of instructional materials for students. The Budget Act includes $5 million in Prop 98 General Fund on a one-time basis for this program. Additionally, the administration had a proposal regarding basic skills within the community colleges. This bill repeals and recasts effective July 1st of 2017 the Student Success Basic Skills Program to improve the delivery of basic skill instruction at community colleges through a revised funding formula that will incorporate incentives for community college districts to implement evidence-based practices in areas such as assessment, placement, instruction, and student support services, with the goal being to successfully move students that require basic skills instructions through basic skills more quickly. Another proposal that we offered that's included in this is the Online Education Initiative, and this bill would appropriate $20 million in one-time Prop 98 funds to expedite and enhance the adaption and development of courses that are available through the online course exchange component of the Online Education Initiative. This allows students who might require a course online to cross-enroll across the community college system to get the courses they need to expedite their completion of their program. Additionally, the bill appropriates $200 million of Proposition 98 general funds for the Strong Workforce Program. This was a proposal that the administration put forward based on a task force that was convened by the Chancellor's Office, and it basically would enable community college districts through the existing career tech education regional consortium structure to expand workforce to workforce-aligned and regionally coordinated career technical education courses. This proposal basically moves our community college career tech education structure towards more of a regional model to work within other structures such as WIOA to ensure that regions are able to address the workforce needs in a regional manner. Additionally, the bill appropriates $35 million general fund to CSU on a one-time basis to work on improving their graduation rates. The release of the funds is contingent upon the CSU trustees adopting plans that indicate the timeframe by which the system as well as the campuses will increase their four-year graduation rate and two-year transfer rates. Among those rates of other institutions that are like or peer institutions to the CSU campuses. We also have included a $4 million general fund appropriation on a one-time basis for the A to G Success Initiative at the University of California. This is to develop free online middle and high school courses that would be approved by UC for the purposes of satisfying the A to G subject requirements. The UC will work with school districts regarding which courses should be developed and conduct research specifically to students from groups within underrepresented groups in higher ed for meeting the A to G requirements. And a few other areas that we have talked about, both of these actually within the conference committee, are precision medicine. The bill establishes the California Initiative to Advance Precision Medicine within the Office of Planning and Research to coordinate public, private, and nonprofit partners to advance public medicine, precision medicine in the state. The bill includes $10 million general fund on a one-time basis for this purpose. And lastly, the bill requests that the UC Regents establish a Center for Research on Firearm-related violence to inform policymakers related to these issues, and it includes $5 million general fund on a one-time basis for the center. With that, we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Costa. 4, 5, 6. Not quite there yet. Keep an eye on our quorum. You had made mention of the repurposing of funds from the middle class scholarship, and that over the next few years we will be reducing that which we had previously planned on appropriating for the purpose of it. I think some of these savings are coming from lower use of the program than expected. Can you talk to us a little bit about that, please?
Yes, I'm happy to. Yes, the savings that we're realizing in this particular bill are being utilized for other higher education purposes are because the subscription rate or the usage of the middle class scholarship hasn't reached the projections that we had initially developed for the program.
And that we had made some changes subsequent to its original development, which may have been the cause for that.
Christian Osmani with the Department of Finance. Yes, I think that accounts for some of that. We budget for this program differently than we budget for other financial aid programs. So in statute, we have a set amount of money allocated for this program. And so in recent years, last year when the legislature made changes to the program, we estimated how much we expected those changes to cost, and those changes are actually resulting in larger savings than we had previously anticipated.
Okay, and again, the changes were specifically because we wanted to make sure it was reaching a target population.
Yes, among other changes, the legislature imposed income and asset ceilings for recipients.
Okay, thank you. You also touched on the community college strong workforce. There had been some conversation, if not debate, around the 40-60 split, the 40% of funds to be distributed to the Career Tech Educational Consortia with the other 60% directly to the community colleges. That percentage split with more toward the regional consortia was to incentivize the working together of the two. Can you also explain that a bit more?
Yes, that's correct. There were some discussions about what was the appropriate split of the funding between the local community college districts as well as the regional consortia. As I mentioned, I think the thrust of this policy change is to move to a more regional model, which is in line with WIOA and some of the other programs in this area. And so we felt that keeping the appropriation more towards the regional entities was appropriate given that purpose.
Another area where we, the legislature and the administration, had some discussion was on precision medicine. And as you mentioned, it is included in the final budget and trailer bill, this $10 million one-time funding. there was concern initially that there wasn't enough transparency in the process of how these funds would be expended. So we've done something about that in this trailer bill.
That's correct. As part of the conference compromise, actually, to address some of those concerns that were raised previously in conference, the bill specifies criteria that would determine whether the demonstration project is eligible to receive the funds and requires the Office of Planning and Research to develop guidelines regarding the application for and use of the funds. So within those provisions, we were able to reach a compromise that addressed some of the issues regarding transparency.
Okay. Very good. Colleagues, questions about our higher education trailer bill? Senator Nielsen.
Question, the one issue that I have of concern, the Firearm Violence Research Center, why was that included in the trailer bill?
Thank you, Senator Nielsen. This was came out of the legislative process, and it was included, and there are a number of research projects, not just within higher ed, actually throughout the budget. As I mentioned, precision medicine is one. I believe this was included within higher ed as part of a conference compromise.
And it's some one-time only?
It's correct. It's a one-time.
Okay. The admission of the California residents, then, how are these California residents going to be admitted? By what basis? Are there going to be any changes in the criteria for the admission of the California residents? Is it campus by campus?
Clarify, Senator, are you referencing the UC or the CSU or both?
The UC admissions.
Okay, within the UC, I would say, and I'll defer to Mr. Osmania, the structure is very similar to what we've done within the current year, which is that we have appropriated funds whose release is contingent upon the university demonstrating that they have actually admitted the additional resident students. On the issue of eligibility, I'll defer to my colleague, Mr. Osmania.
Before you begin, sir, we have a quorum. If you could call the roll, please.
Leno?
Here.
Nielsen?
Here?
Allen? Anderson? Bell? Block? Glazer? Hancock? Mitchell? Monning?
Here.
Morlock? Wynn? Pan?
Here.
Pabley? Roth?
Here.
Stone?
Here.
Wolk?
Colleagues, thank you very much. I know that people have to come and go, but we've got our quorum. We can proceed with our work. Yes, sir.
Sure. To the question, the bill, so the provision in the bill is consistent with provisions of Senate Bill 1050 that were incorporated into the trailer bill. The bill requires UC to increase the number of students from high schools that have high numbers of, or high proportions of English learners, low-income students, and foster youth consistent with the LCFF. There is specific language that UC would do this within existing policy, so there's no expectation that UC would change eligibility for, or the requirements for admission for this population of students. So UC would have to find other ways to do it. One of the ways contemplated in the legislation is targeted outreach to students from those schools.
And is there a set number of students, variously it's been talked about, 5,000, or is there a target number?
Separately in the budget, there's a target number in 17-18 overall for UC to grow enrollment by 2,500 undergraduates in 17-18 compared to 16-17. These particular provisions simply say that the UC campuses are expected to increase enrollment of students from those schools above 15-16 levels. There's no particular number that UC would have to grow.
And does UC required to report those numbers to us in some manner?
There's some reporting requirement to the Department of Finance and the legislature, yes, moving forward.
So we can keep track whether or not they meet these
Yes.
challenges?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And I think additionally, there, as Ms. Costa had mentioned, the requirement of the approval of a plan and timeline to increase the number of California resident freshman admissions before they get their funding.
Correct. That's not in the trailer bill, but in the budget bill requires them to demonstrate that they will increase the number of resident undergraduates before we release the funds to them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Senator Stone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of quick questions. With the allocations made to the CSUs and the UCs, do we have any assurances that tuition will remain as it is and will not increase?
That's the expectation. There's no statutory requirements in either the budget bill or in this trailer bill, but that's the expectation. The universities have indicated that it won't increase in 16-17.
I'm very pleased to hear that. And then with regard to Section 17 and 41, San Francisco City College District Restoration Funding, which is, they talk about the enrollment has dropped and they need some supplementation. Is San Francisco City College District the only community college district that has suffered a decline in enrollment that necessitates an augmentation? And is there any money available to any of those college districts that are finding themselves in similar circumstances?
Sure, Chris Ferguson with the Department of Finance. There are other community colleges throughout the state that are seeing declining enrollment. That is correct. What the San Francisco City College language does is it actually allows them to grow up to where they were in 2012-13 in terms of FTES. It isn't an automatic backfill. It is if those students materialize at the campus, they are able to serve them and receive funding for those students.
And do we offer the same benefits to the other community college districts that might be in the same circumstances, or is this isolated to one district only?
So I think this is very specific to San Francisco City College, but traditionally all community colleges throughout the state have a 3-year period in which they can re-earn any lost enrollment due to declines in enrollment.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Stone. And Mr. Ferguson explained the situation well because of the challenges, the special challenges City College of San Francisco faced as a result of that commission, which has since been renounced. The enrollment dropped by 35%, so it was very steep. And if it had been kept to the traditional 2% cap, it literally could have taken 20 years to be able to regain those students, and the school would have in fact been in a death spiral long before then. So this just allows for an additional 5 years above that 2% cap. If, as Mr. Ferguson said, we can actually get those additional enrollees, it would allow us to have a fighting chance of surviving.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, Senator Glazer.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. A couple comments to make and questions. First, I was pleased to see the $35 million appropriated to the California State Universities with focus on 2- and 4-year graduation rates. As we all know, this wonderful university system does such great work in accessibility and affordability and quality, but in the area of student success, 4-year completion, it's unfortunately very, very low, and I'm pleased to see us and the administration joining together to enhance the budget in this fashion. My question is, what are our expectations in regard to how the money will be used? Is there anything that's been put forward to clarify that $35 million and how it can be put to this good, important use?
So the funding in the budget is contingent upon the trustees adopting a plan that essentially includes 2 components. One are the goals and a timeline for how they would improve 2-year and 4-year graduation rates, as you mentioned. The other is a set of credible actions. I think the proposal that's included in this trailer bill reflects the administration and the state deferring a bit to the trustees over the next several months to come up with a plan on how they'd use those funds, and then an analysis by the Department of Finance around September of whether we think that those activities are consistent and could credibly result in the types of increases in graduation rates that they talk about. And so we don't prescribe any particular set of activities, but we expect over the next over the summer and the subsequent months to have a conversation with the CSU to determine why they think the way they use those funds could credibly achieve the types of goals they're talking about.
And the The worry is that certainly there's a good argument to be made that we have underinvested in the CSU over many years now, and that there are many things that the institution needs to do better. And they are undertaking a lot of different initiatives to try to do that, whether it's hiring more full-time faculty, or you could even argue pay raises as a way to attract quality faculty or retain quality faculty could be connected to a student retention or student success or student graduation effort. So I do think that, and that's a challenge, because I think that there are many members of this panel that would like to see us supplementing the state universities even more than what's here. In fact, I think this is significantly under budgeted to what they have asked us of in the course of the budget hearings this spring. And so it is going to be a challenge, given that it is an underinvested system, to look specifically in this area of graduation initiative and identify why this fits, and that we should expect that that is going to be an allocation that's just going to hit that sweet spot to make it so much better. So another question is that is the allocation that we are making to the state universities unallocated, to the extent that when the trustees put forward their budget to us, they had broken it down in terms of where they thought these additional monies that they had requested would be spent. And so my first part of my question is the allocation side of it. And the second part of the question is that they've recently negotiated new faculty salary agreements, faculty and staff salary agreements that are going to put pressure on the general fund. I'm not clear how that's being paid for. And so is there anything in this budget that helps in that circumstance? So those are two-part questions.
Thank you. Sorry, the microphones. Anyway, to your first point, how we budget CSU has changed over the years, in that outside of the $35 million we're discussing, it is unallocated, and it is up to the Board of Trustees to determine how to allocate those funds amongst their campuses, as well as any system-wide initiatives they may have. I'll let my colleagues speak about their recently enacted bargaining agreement.
So there's nothing in this particular legislation or in the budget that sets aside any funds for the bargaining agreement. I think they're going to have to come up with a plan using the essentially $161 million ongoing included in the budget bill, as well as, the $35 million here and the $15 million in one-time funds that would be released to the trustees for allocation to determine how to meet the costs. And so I think that will likely be a combination of these additional state funds and some decisions on the campuses about how to manage their own costs.
Okay, well, I think that's a big challenge for them, and especially since that they still haven't got back to where they were 5 or 6 years ago in terms of state funding. And I appreciate what a challenge that's going to be, given inflationary demands and salary increases and all the rest. One final clarification, that I know there's been a new practice in how we fund capital outlay at the state universities. Is that a whole different trailer bill, not spoken to here in this one? Is that correct?
There's no additional statute, and so 2 years ago, the legislature enacted a process by which the university is authorized to use their general fund appropriations to fund their capital projects, and that process remains in statute, and it essentially the university submits requests to the Director of Finance, and the Director of Finance can authorize the use for those purposes, so there are no additional statutory changes needed.
Okay, so then maybe for its absence, I'll make one brief comment, Mr. Chairman, which is that this change in how we fund capital outlay is a very unfortunate change that the legislature and the administration made. It basically says that given the significant capital outlay needs of the state universities, that they now have to use their existing operating budget to pay for any new debt obligation that they want to undertake to restore or rebuild these vast array of facilities that have been created by the taxpayers, all of us, for decades in the building of that institution. And so they have to now make a choice to borrow themselves and to pay for it out of their operating, versus the old way that had been in place for decades, which is that the university would come to us with the capital needs, a new library, a science building that's breaking down, and we would make a choice to fund it or not, and the whole general fund would be under that obligation. And that now has changed now. So we're not seeing those capital needs here because now they have to take it out of everything else that we provide to them. And that's, I think, very unfortunate. So in its absence, my comment is now made. I would hope that we would at some point have an opportunity to revisit that because it means that now we're going to put on the students and the university the infrastructure that the taxpayers of California in their wisdom have provided for more than 50 years. That is deteriorating, and that should be an obligation that we all undertake, not just the students, their families, and the institution themselves.
Thank you, Senator Glazer. Anyone else on our higher education trailer bill?
Just a question for
Of course you may.
clarification. The whole discussion of increasing slots, it's not part of this discussion here today, correct?
Well, we did touch on, as Senator Glazer pointed out, the $35 million one-time general fund, which will be contingent upon the adoption of a graduation rate improvement plan.
That's not really an increasing slot, so.
Right.
So just to clarify, there is language in the budget that the CSU essentially is required to grow enrollment by about 1.4% compared to 15-16.
In this.
In the budget bill.
In the budget, yeah, in the budget bill.
One of the big challenges CSUs compared to when I went there is, and maybe it has to do with the high cost of tuition, I would say like at Cal State Northridge with 42,000 students, most of them don't live on campus. They're juggling working full-time jobs to pay for tuition, and it takes just longer. And so the old days of being able to just go to college and not worry about anything else but taking your courses and completing them on time, because my parents told me you have 4 years, that's it, you're gone. So now they don't have those options because of, part of it is because of the high cost of tuition and having to pay all the other expenses. So it's a real change of face of the kinds of students that are now involved, especially in the urban areas. So 42,000 kids, young adults at Cal State Northridge, I would bet half of them aren't taking a full load. It's hard to get through in 4 years.
And it shouldn't go overlooked, as the governor has repeatedly pointed out, that graduation rates are directly related to slots, because the sooner that we can get folks graduated, it makes more room for new people coming in. Senator Glazer.
Mr. Chairman, just to share some thoughts on the point that Senator Pavley's made. I know that's the narrative that's discussed, and certainly in many cases it's true in terms of obligations on kids. But here's a factoid for you. Last fall, only 13% of the students at the CSU were taking less than 12 units, okay? Only 13%. 87% were taking 12 units or more, and about 35% were taking 15 units or more, on track to graduate in 4 years. So there's a narrative about the CSU, and part of it is true about the diversity of kids and the different challenges that they face. But we have kids going to our universities that do want to get through, hundreds of thousands of them, and they're not able to get through. They're not able to get their classes. They're redirected in a way. So yes, I recognize the thoughtful comments from the senator from Ventura, and it is true that it does apply, but there's, for many, many more, it doesn't, and we need to find a way to find that pathway to success for them.
We have no other comments or questions from the committee. Is there anyone who'd like to speak publicly on our higher education trailer bill? If not, we have a motion by Senator Wolk, and we'll call the roll.
Leno?
Aye.
Leno, aye. Nielsen?
Aye.
Nielsen, aye. Allen? Anderson? Bell? Block? Glazer? Glazer, aye. Hancock? Mitchell? Mitchell, aye. Monning? Morlock? Nguyen? Pan? Pabley? Pabley, aye. Roth? Roth, aye. Stone? Wolk? Wolk, aye.
So we have 7 votes, and we'll put that on call. And before we move on to our developmental services trailer bill, we have, as mentioned earlier, 2 vote-onlys. So we'll take care of those now. AB 1603 is our public Social Services Trailer Bill with a motion by Senator Roth. Call the roll, please.
AB 1603, the motion is due pass. Leno?
Aye.
Leno, aye. Nielsen? Nielsen, no. Allen? Anderson? Bell? Block? Glazer? Glazer, aye. Hancock? Mitchell? Mitchell, aye. Monning? Morlock? Wynn? Pan? Pabley? Pabley, aye. Roth? Roth, aye. Stone? Stone, no.
That is 5-2, and we'll put that on call. Oh, and did you call Senator Wolk?
Oh, Senator.
6-2, and we'll put it on call. And then our second vote only is AB 1609, General Government.
AB 1609, due pass is the motion. Leno?
Aye.
Leno, aye. Nielsen? Nielsen, no. Allen? Anderson? Bell? Block? Glazer? Hancock? Glazer, aye. Hancock? Mitchell? Mitchell, aye. Monning? Morlock? Wynn? Pan? Pabley? Pabley, aye. Roth? Roth, aye. Stone? Stone, no. Wolk? Wolk, aye.
We have 6-2 again, and we'll keep the roll open. So, moving forward, AB 1606, Developmental Services, Ms. Costa.